He's never fought us. Not us united.
My favorite moment in the entire... Maybe I should complicate this before I start speaking here.
Welcome to Comics League Indie Wednesday. I'm Jared, and today, as promised and as hyped, I'm reviewing Crossover Volume 1. Oh boy, was this a pretty interesting book to check out. Now, this is written by one of my favorite Marvel writers of all time, Donny Cates. Heck yeah, with the Venom run. And so I already had like name recognition with the writer. And I saw this at my LCS and I was like, oh, check this out. So the premise of this book is, what if comic books all of a sudden were real? What I mean is, the story starts off, actually I'll start up, there we go, where there was this event. It's called The Crossover. There you go. Where all of a sudden the comic book superheroes came to the real world and started fighting. And it caused this big catastrophe. At first, it was like seen as like a mass hallucinating event, but that later fell apart real quick. Now, what's cool about this is basically a look at, and the way I saw this, what the Comics Code Authority was established for. What I mean by this is, back in like the 30s and 40s, the Comics Code came about because this pop psychologist named Frederick Wertham published this book called Seduction of the Innocent. And the idea was he said comic books were corrupting the youth. Now, the way this links to the book is that some years after the crossover, if you're seeing like cosplaying or like buying comic books, you're seen as like a pariah. And so it's the thing, God hates masks. It's like pray the capes away. Yeah, you're seeing some very much links to like evangelical, radical evangelicals from the time period with Pray the Gay Away. And then our main character that we talked about is named Ellie, or Ellipses as she's named. So she actually works at a comic book store. So the comic book stores still exist. And what's kind of funny is, so she walks into the store she works, and the guy who runs it is having an argument with this customer that's trying to sell his collection. But the collection is all like cowboys and like military comics. And the store's policy, the thing is, we're only buying like pre-crossover books and books that are not used for propaganda purposes to like downplay capes. That's why this is a cape-only store. And what's kind of funny, the dude's wearing a Wertham was right shirt, and that's actually really, really, I love how he does that, how they do that. In the back, you have all these different all these different like Easter eggs. Like Ellie's wearing an Invincible shirt. Since this is an image book, it's very easy to get the other creators to like say, hey, can I have your character, like your IP in my book? They're like, okay, sure. And they reference Batman, Superman. Chip Zdarsky himself is like a character in this. In fact, there's a running theme throughout this book that former comic book creatives, which real people, are being killed. Like a serial killer is going after like Chip Zdarsky, Scott Snyder. I think Geoff Johns is referenced once, but the point is that they're being like hunted. Then also you have this again, this preacher man. I like to call him William Stryker, because Stryker was essentially an evangelical when he was first creative, and what he wants is his son to essentially his son Ryan to take a comic book, light it on fire, and like throw it like a Molotov cocktail at the store and burn it down. But before you can do that, what's interesting is that so Ellie and Otto, the store owner, find this girl, and what's cool about it, so the way you know that someone's from like the comic book world is if they have these little dots on their faces, right? They're little, like they're classic comics. That's how you know that like someone's from the comic book world. And it's actually very dangerous, and people see them as like threats. Like as soon as this little girl is discovered, everyone hightails it out of the store except for Ellie and Otto. So the store lights on fire, and Ellie and Otto escape. and then we get the idea, and then we get like the first like tidbit of this ongoing arc that like Brian K. Vaughan, a acclaimed Marvel Comics writer, has been found brutally murdered today in his home. So again, we're getting that idea that like comic book creatives are being killed. So as essentially, the plan is they want to bring this girl back to the dome. Essentially, there's a big dome around where the superheroes came in. So they want to take her there so she can go home. And also, apparently, Ellie has parents in that area, so she wants to reunite with her family. So what you see throughout this book, by the way, is like teases of like the actual superheroes that exist here. Like you see like Batman's gauntlets, Wonder Woman's lasso. So the other heroes exist, and some of them help. You see Spawn's hand. You see basically a kryptonite bullet. You see the comic book people in camps. And this whole thing is like a cross-country journey, but with comic book characters showing up in real life. And you also have like a crossover with another Image book by Cates called God Country. The superheroes escape. There's this epic battle with all these Image characters. Like I think at one point you see Witchblade, Savage Dragon. Yeah, you see Witchblades, Savage Dragon, the Darkness. You see so many different image characters that I was like, oh wow, you could actually do this, because all that you see Hit Girl from Kick-Ass. And so eventually at the end, I'm skipping around because I don't really go through a lot of this, but Otto dies, and then we discover that Ellie herself is from the comic book world. In other words, she's a comic book character. So what's cool about this first off is that the art by Geoff Shaw is absolutely awesome. And you can tell that with this, Donny Cates is a fan because he has all these different like inside jokes with the comic book community. We have like we also have this idea that like the son of the preacher, Ryan, he's supposed to like fall in love with Ellie. So it's kind of like a sort of they're on opposites attract thing, which is actually really cool. And then you essentially have like what's cool is that the superheroes escape because one of them is like a bomb. And he blows open the gate, and then they all just fly out in one of the most badass images in this book. And you have like a Gundam shows up. There's like a ton of cameos in this book by Image Comics characters, and it's just really cool. You also kind of see a helicarrier. There's a lot of. You also see the Pillsbury Doughman from Ghostbusters. Basically, if it's appear in the comic book, it shows up. You even have like a comic book museum that has like the '89 Batmobile, and again the God Country sword. And they have this thing. The government has a program called the Amalgam Program, where they basically mash together different superheroes. So it's really cool, and they're showing that that both sides are a problem, and they're very like, but not one side is innocent. And I like it when that happens, when they make it like not one side is like holier than thou, essentially, because that's realistically what happens in this scenario. So I like how it does that. I'm just adjusting my mic real quick. And again, it's a fantastic, I definitely really, really dig this book. I have volume 2, so I can review volume 2 soon, hopefully. And I definitely plan to, because this book is like incredible. And yeah, I like how it's basically a bunch of inside jokes with the comic book community, but it's like in a story that's so meta. In fact, it's kind of funny. It's so meta that on the back of the book, Donny Cates, you know how they have like blurbs about, well, this book is awesome. Cates delivers some of his most intriguing and poignant work. Donny Cates wrote his own thing on the back of his own book, and it says, meh. Like, that's so meta. But anyway, so more fantastic writing by Donny Cates. It's a series that I have that I've really started to get invested in because I really like it, and I think it's like one of the coolest series, and honestly a series that I could see turning into a movie or a TV series. It'd be really cool. But that's my review of Crossover. I give it about a 9 out of 10 for volume 1. And I'm in the middle of volume 2, so be on the lookout for that. As for my next bit of content, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the Snyderverse edit I made. I put a lot of work into that. Please be civil. And in terms of Under Two Capes, TBD. I'm working on what I want my topic to be this week. Maybe I can get a guest on. But I'm thinking about doing one on like our favorite comic book runs. And be on the lookout for, again, Comics League Dark on Fridays, and movie night is going to be this week. And this week we're covering 2 movies. Remember, we're doing a double feature. We're doing Batman. At first, we're doing Justice League versus the Elite, and then we're doing Batman versus Robin. Now, Batman versus Robin is it's actually fortuitous that we're talking about this now, because Batman versus Robin is the introduction of Damian Wayne, and we can talk about how it differs from the Grant Morrison Batman run. So we'll really have a lot to talk about on that movie night. So it'll be really fun. So on that note, stay heroic, everyone, and I will see you in our next indie book, whatever that may be. Drop in the comments what book you want to see. If you want to see Crossover Volume 2, or if you have a suggestion of another book that you'd like to see featured. So stay heroic, everyone, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.